everybody, and welcome to session 6 out of 6 of our live session series, our final session of the series on getting certified with SAP Build Developer. Now, if you've made it this far, well done to you. As we are approaching the final session of the series, which should leave you with as much confidence as possible to take on that certification. Where in today's session, we're just wrapping things up. We will be together for roughly 60 to 90 minutes, where we are going to be looking at topics like build work zone, um, as well as introducing Joule Studio as well. So these two topics are not tested in the certification. It is just to get some hands-on experience, some practical exposure to the topic when you are in real-world projects as well. All right, so I do trust everybody can hear me loud and clearly. I do have my screen share on, and as well my camera on as well. Yes, please feel free to make use of the chat box, add any of your questions, comments, and concerns, and I will address them as we go along, and as well as the Q&A towards the Q&A session at the end. Where we do have a question where we're being asked, could you please share the presentation from the previous session? Yes, sure thing, I can. The presentation from the previous session would mainly be the end-to-end experience guide, which looks like a document like this, where we just went through the end-to-end exercise where I just showcased that your final process, even in the certification, should look something like this, where there's your form trigger, there's a condition, and based on the condition, it will do whatever the condition asks you. Otherwise, it will auto-approve. And I just showcase all of the steps in terms of adding variables or form inputs, depending on if it's a form input, and all of the necessary steps in this document, even going to build apps, adding a variable as well, and calling your process as well, what would be required of you, going to my inbox, and ensuring that you do have the necessary notifications. If nothing appears in my inbox, then you can just add a filter, the filter button in there, and you should see all of your processes which you can approve or reject. Otherwise, if you do get any issues, you can log a support case. So this is the document that I want to share. It's just the end-to-end scenario guide. Okay, so I will be sharing that into the chat now. Just so you have it for your own use case. Because ideally, we do want to be taking this certification before the 29th of April. Everything we would have been going through is relevant to the current version of the certification. So what that means is, if we kind of pick up from where we left off, as you're aware, the certification is getting an update from the 30th to the 11th. So scheduling slots for that period will not be available starting from the 29th. So I would recommend anytime between, this weekend or Monday, that, with everything that we've gone through, you do have the confidence to take on the certification. The changes that will be upcoming is most likely related to Build Apps being a standalone application. So the new version may focus more on process automation. Who knows, they may even include Build Work Zone or other types of activities. As I've mentioned, I do not set these certifications, so can't really say what will be inside them. But this current version that we've been going through is very much relevant to what we, for our current version of the certification, where I do want to take us through essentially what we've gone through in terms of the BTP 100, BTP 110, which is the foundation of our certification or of the build lobby, allowing us to access the BTP cockpit. And we then looked at build apps in a bit more detail. And we'll then be able to then look at process automation as well in terms of um, how, as I've mentioned, the exam itself is 70% process automation and about 30% build apps. It's a very small section where I am now seeing in the chat, just hopped in here to say thank you. Took the exam yesterday and passed. Yay. That is great. That is great news. And got a few errors. Had to restart twice, but it worked. Is there any other certification you're holding sessions for AI, BDC? Thanks again. All right. No, that's nice to hear, guys. So you see, people are having the confidence. Not to quiz you, but I'm then curious to say, had you taken it before? Like, did you have prior experience, or you took it just based on this series and everything that I had explained? But no, well done to you guys. This is the confidence that we all need. So yes, and good luck for you taking it tomorrow as well. Just based on the series, awesome. So yeah, so not to say I give the answers, but just to say I think the guidance was useful enough. What type of errors did you get? Maybe we'll do a Q&A session. We'll interrogate you towards the end, just so other people can know. Maybe you can type them in the chat. Was it system issues? Was it self-imposed errors? How was the time usage as well? But yeah, well done. Hello, I've deployed an active build process that I'm trying to trigger from boot apps. However, when I go to integration tab in the app builder, my process doesn't show up. Any help tips would be appreciated. Thanks. All right, so that's just a direct message that I got. Someone is just saying that they've deployed an active build process and they're trying to trigger from build apps. However, when they go to the integration tabs, my process doesn't show up. Any tips? Yes. So the one tip I'd give you is make sure that you publish it to library. I don't have the environment open to show you, but just go back to the notes and you will see somewhere that speaks of publishing to library. That is what makes it available in the code app, as well as making sure that the process that you are deploying is a API trigger. That way, if it's a form trigger, you won't see it. Even if you publish to library, it has to be an API trigger. So those are the two things for you there. That was just a direct message that not everyone will be able to see. Okay, I'm already going to the chat, guys. Apologies, but today's session was going to be shorter, and the topics, the content was going to be stuff that would not have popped up, like Build Work Zone and Joule Studio. It's exciting topics. We will go through some practicals for each now in this session, but let me go ahead and answer some questions that are relevant to the certification, because this is the final session where I'll take the exam tomorrow morning. Thank you. I have the confidence now. That's good. But I ran into a problem while practicing. Starting the process from form worked perfectly, but I was trying with API trigger one. Even after deploy and making it publish, I couldn't access that from boot apps. Can you please show when you have time? Okay. Look, if you've done the form one and it worked, that's also very good. I will showcase API trigger one, even if you published it to library. That is strange because then you've taken all of the steps. Is this in the BTP cockpit? Is this in the APP 400 system? Is the questions I would ask you. But, sometimes a simple refresh will do as well. APP 400. Okay. Then we should have just picked up. Even after I published, deploy and make it publish, I couldn't access it. Let me just think. Yeah, maybe a simple refresh. But yeah, the steps are quite simple. We'll look at it towards the end when we have time. Otherwise, in the background, while I'm going through the content, you can just play around with it some more if you haven't already. I'm sure you have. All right, and then we get to see that screenshot error of what occurred. This is a common one. You see this BPI forms artifact connector field 409. This, I would say, is due to your naming convention. Or did you refresh and then this did not happen? This was creating the approval. So you're already in the process. Um, Artifact failure 409. I would just just check the naming convention when something like this occurs, especially in this create approval, is what I would say. Okay, so that's the error that you occurred, that you got there. All right, no, awesome. Yeah, so your main question is you're asking, is there any other certification that I'm holding? Well, this will be my final one. I don't see. I mainly do the build code one and other development related live sessions, and it's very hard to know who's presenting a live session when you can register because it doesn't say. But this is the main one that I present. But my colleagues, which are just as strong as I am, I do present some certifications, such as the BTP administration. So, as I mentioned, after you've passed this one and you still have some attempts, go ahead and do the BTP administration certification. It's also a very good cert to have. And maybe if you're more interested in development, you can then look at your Fiori or ABAP if you don't already have them. Okay. All right. No, let's carry on for today's work, and then we will address any specific areas if anyone has any questions. But in today's session, we do want to just start off by going through build work zone. Which build work zone, when you think of it, you can think of it as your hub where yourself as users or employees can go into to get a view of your specific business data. Let's say you are in HR and you don't want to be switching between multiple applications. You don't want to have Teams open on one. You don't want to have another application open. What Build Workzone does is that it then brings all of that together for you to be able to access your applications, a personalized view of your area of work, and it's customizable as well so that you can get specific content that fits your needs. Then the remainder of these lessons is just highlighting the various components within WorkZone, such as the key building blocks, such as a site menu, a work page, a workspace, and applications. All of these come together to create our work zone, our workspace, or our environment, where we will go in a bit more detail, but this is just highlighting, just introducing the various topics. Where the site menu, you can think of it as your area that you would use to get access to your applications. So when you think of a site menu or a site directory, which we'll come to see when we do create a WorkZone space. We'll create it in the standard edition of WorkZone and the advanced edition of WorkZone. So yes, there are two editions of WorkZone. The most commonly used one is the advanced edition of WorkZone. So most of your clients and organizations would subscribe to the advanced edition of WorkZone. And with the advanced edition of WorkZone, we can create workspaces. It gives you a bit more capabilities than the standard edition, but we'll go into the standard edition and also just create a site, create a page, create a workspace, and then add an application. All of which is possible within the advanced edition. So when we go to the site menu, we're speaking of the main area you would go to click to take you to a specific area that you want to get into, whether it's a workspace or a work page. That's your site menu. Then your work pages is where all of your content stays. This has a variety of content like your UI cards, your widgets. Your workspaces is then your housing of your work pages, the collaborative area where a workspace, you could have a parental leave workspace or a leave workspace or a payroll workspace. So that only shows work pages related to that specific workspace, where you can also have private and public workspaces. And then it's all about adding your UI5 applications, your Fiori applications, your Code Apps applications, for example, that can be displayed in that work zone. This then goes in a bit more detail on each of them, such as the site menu. As I mentioned, this is the area that you would go to start to navigate into your various areas. So, an example of the side menu in the advanced edition is this left-hand side where you would then click to navigate to your workspace or your specific application where you, in this case, we are in edit mode where we can then publish or save as draft because us as the administrator, because remember there's the administrators of WorkZone, there's the end users who can't change the WorkZone config. They just get what is configured, but from this perspective, we are looking at us as the configurators, as the developers, as the administrators of WorkZone. So that's why we know how the behind the scenes works, because we will have the necessary roles, we will have the necessary permissions to make changes in the menu. And yeah, company administrators can access the site menu configuration panel. And because we have the configuration panel, we can then make the necessary menu item changes to add or remove, rearrange menu items. And that is what we are seeing over here. So the long and the short of it is that the site directory does give us the necessary areas to then get custom menu items added, workspace to directly take you to a specific workspace, application, and just pre-configure your menu items. Where you can also get recommendations within work zones in terms of in the form of news feeds. So it's more than just, I wouldn't call it a social media hub, but you can get your content available where you can see what other colleagues are saying regarding, their various lines of business, whether it's a project room, IT equipment help center, all of these will then take you to specific information that has been posted in that area. And yeah, that is what this is showcasing to say, based on the workspace level, that this is the type of information that you will see. And if you have configured a site menu and you want to move it from one environment to another, as you can see, from development to QA, development to a prod environment, your configuration, instead of reconfiguring it every time, you can zip it and move it accordingly to the various environments. Then when we speak of work pages, we are then speaking of how to customize our pages such that it has drag and drop capabilities. So the most time consuming activity within WorkZone would be adding that initial configuration, the images, making sure the apps are working. And from there, it's just maintaining it. So whenever we need to add a new app that's been deployed, you would just come and, configure the necessary area that needs that new application. But besides that, it's just dragging and dropping the various artifacts. As the developer, you would then have the privilege of designing UI integration cards. These UI integration cards is almost what displays data like this. This would be in Business Application Studio in BAS, where you would then configure them to work to show you such that they can get deployed to WorkZone. So you can deploy them or you can develop them, come to WorkZone if you have the necessary permissions and roles to then have them added to the workspace or to your work page. And the content of your work pages is not just, static. It can also be applications, images, polls, contact cards, feeds, and text as well. These are the various widgets that you can add to your specific work page. And then this just goes in a bit more detail on those components, whether it's standard tools, whether it's filtering and listing tools, or just some productivity tools as well. So yeah, app tiles and UI integration cards developed by you, partners or SAP. So as the developer, you then have the case to actually create them. On this image is just showcasing on the right-hand side, once you hit edit or rearrange, edit, this is also a type of edit, and translate, revert version, copy, delete, overview. All of this is the options that are available within your work page to make it more unique to the environment. The workspaces is then uh, is then just okay. So I just noticed that someone did say it fixed it for them. That publishing. All right, yeah, that's an important step. Luckily for your certification, you won't need to publish to library because the cert already has your required certification or application added. But it's nice to know that this is there. But yeah, no, nice one. Um, where were we? We're just talking about workspaces now. We were just talking about workspaces, where the workspace is what hosts whatever is in your work page. Whatever is in your work page, and you can have content within your workspace, your various applications, communication points. You can also very much customize your workspaces, where you have private workspaces, public workspaces, or my workspace and private workspaces. My workspace is only you. Private means you can invite other people. Public means it's open. It's open rooms, learning centers, and so on. Okay. Yeah, so it just speaks on public versus private when you'd want to have either one, depending on what information once you need to showcase. Some workspace features is just highlighting the various components that you can add, feed updates, members, recommendations, tasks, and forums as well. And for example, this is a workspace for parental leave, and all of the content within this workspace is related to parental leave. So a workspace just houses information related to that particular topic, where you can have feed updates, where you can see when someone just reminds us in their feed update that, hey, remember we have a brainstorming session on Friday, or we have a webinar coming up. All of this then becomes that collaboration hub within WorkZone itself. So I wonder if more and more clients uh, have started, more of your clients or your own organization has started to make use of WorkZone. Because I know my client, when I worked on process automation and WorkZone, we were deploying to WorkZone. So then, yeah, then the relevant question comes in: is this related to Fiori in any way? Well, the relation to Fiori is um, because a common question is, can we compare WorkZone to Fiori Launchpad? You know how you have the Fiori Launchpad, but the Fiori Launchpad is specific to applications. The Fiori Launchpad will give you tiles, will give you, specific types of tiles, but it only gives you applications that you can access. WorkZone also does the same, but goes a bit above and beyond. So it also has these collaboration features. It has things like workspaces. Um, you can add Microsoft Teams as well to your WorkZone environment, because the whole point is to allow you to not go and have multiple links, multiple applications. So in relation to Fiori, you will then be deploying your Fiori applications here. So you won't need to go to necessarily to the Fiori Launchpad if your UI5 application has been deployed to WorkZone. And yeah, so that actually brings us to the next section, where naturally we want to be integrating applications. So integrating applications, there's multiple ways to actually add applications to build WorkZone. There's the manual way and the content federation way. Um, and with the manual way, the main difference is that you will then be adding your URLs, you will then be adding your tiles, creating the tiles, which gives you a bit more control. The content federation way that then allows you to export a file that's already configured to have the necessary components that you are looking for. So it's in a content package, maybe a pre-configured package. Uh, and this will then allow you to then add your various content to your WorkZone space. So we will be adding our package in WorkZone in a manual integration. But all in all, the content package is just a zip file that you would be importing, that you would use a wizard to say next, next. Okay. The last section is just highlighting that you do have user settings and header bar settings as well. So this is just literally just showcasing that in your header bar and the settings, you can change the language. You can see that notification bar over there. And from there, we will then be able to change things like the display and some more advanced customization features. Okay, so yeah, that was a brief on WorkZone. It doesn't deep dive into WorkZone at this stage. WorkZone, funny enough, had its own certification, which was since stopped or discontinued. So WorkZone was its own certification, where, as you can see, this section was just a few units. But if I open the learning journey, what I would do is this. I would duplicate this and go to browse learning journeys where you wanted more information on WorkZone. It is currently still available. I'll just type in WorkZone and implementing. So 12 hour. I'll share this link in the chat as well, where, as you can see in this one, we start off with introducing WorkZone, the marketing strategy behind WorkZone, then look at the architectural components. What are some of the mandatory components, optional components? And this is actually the section that we just did now in our section where we looked at this content. But then it goes in a bit more detail as well to look at extensibility, the UI integration cards, as I mentioned. These are the areas that you would go and develop yourself. You can add plugins, exploring content packages. This is under extensibility. And how integration is also possible using APIs, into integrating Microsoft work as well. And all of the various applications, security in WorkZone, because naturally that's the next big question that we have is how do we just ensure that the users that are within WorkZone have the necessary permissions, that they can only see specific apps, that they only have specific permissions, that is controlled within BTP and WorkZone itself. So I will be sharing this section into the chat for everyone, for you to bookmark or to save into your own document as a reference to a bit more detail. All right, so I do see there is a bit more questions in the chat. Hello, sir. This session is part of our training course. Okay, so you're at a university. I'm new to it. I have a doubt. I have not yet received student access. Student access. Could you please guide me on this or have someone to contact me? Student access, what do you mean? Because if you are within this live session, it means you have a valid learning hub. That's the number one access that you're in. And you can't join live sessions without having a valid learning hub. And with the valid learning hub, depending on which one the university purchased for you, it comes with certification attempts. So are you saying you don't have your certification attempts available? This is not what I'm looking for. So it should say 4, certification attempts, learning hub, or it should say 1, depending on how many that you have. So I'm not too sure what your question is referring to when you do refer to access. All right, maybe you can just elaborate a bit more. I was on BTP Summit last year and I asked the experts regarding Build Apps. Yeah, and nice. What did they say? The colleagues from Build Apps told me that in fact we will be deprecated, and yeah, that's true. And it's not sure if it will find any other further use integration products from SAP. Yes, that is the case. Remember, we discussed this from the SAP blog that has been published now. It's been about a month now where it was announced that it will be no longer be available, as it will no longer be available as a standalone application. In other words, being deprecated. Well, yeah, but WorkZone in process will stay for sure. Awesome. Yeah. So as I can imagine, the next certification update will not have anything Build Apps related. Either way, the Build Apps section only had 2 tasks that you needed to complete. I'm curious if they will ask us to do a bit more challenging stuff in the next version in process automation, or they'll ask us to do something in WorkZone. We don't know yet. But the next person that will do the certification, let's say you don't pass in this current run, which is allowed. it's allowed. It's not expected, but it can happen. Then the next time this live session series will run is beginning of August. I will not be conducting that session, but the next time that series runs, I will not be conducting it. Someone else will be conducting it, but they would have an idea of what exactly to showcase, what are the changes and the things to look out for. But yes, the next run is in August, and if I check, which I have checked, they have updated for the next round. They just haven't added the dates yet, so you can't subscribe to it just yet. But the content, so yeah, just click. So remember, this is where we go and subscribe. The content, so they hasn't unable to fetch classes, but I know in the background that the classes will be for quarter 3, and quarter 3 is in the beginning of August. And as you can see, it's just BTP 100. So there's no longer BTP 110 and there's no longer APP 400. It's now just process automation, work zone, and Blue Studio. All right. So those are the main changes that are coming up. Yeah, so process automation and work zone are here to stay. It's Adam University in India. I only got 2. All right. Is that correct for a student? Yes. So if you got 2, that is correct for what was purchased for you. Is it a yearly subscription? Is it a full year? But they clearly purchased the one that gets you 2. Otherwise, you can confirm with them. You can contact the university's admin and they will tell you that, yes, it is correct. In my case, I haven't used my latest 4 yet, but I will use them as well. But as long as you do have attempts, so it means you can actually attempt this BTP certification. Sometimes, you even get 1. It all depends on the package that was purchased by the university. You can find the one with 4 is slightly more expensive. So that's why they got the one with 2. But yeah, as I mentioned, this was work zone. Let's go ahead and do some navigation of work zone. Maybe even, create a space, add an application. And where we want to do that is within our BTP Cockpit trial account, as we do have a standard edition of work zone in here. As I mentioned, most of your clients, your organizations would get the advanced edition, but it's always good to just get a perspective of both. I will showcase where to get to the advanced edition of Workzone because SAP does provide a environment, trial environment or a demonstration environment where we can get access to it. Just by clicking on my subscription to Workzone from my BTP Cockpit, you would then be taken to the site directory. So this is one that I created earlier. I wish I had actually deleted it because it's always nice to see it from scratch, but I won't open it. But essentially, we are taken with our site menu. Remember, we said our site menu, our site directory is our main landing point to go into our workspaces directory. So that's what we're seeing over here. And if I click on these 3 dots, it just expands these tabs where the main thing you are interested in. So we're currently in site directory and we have our content manager. So our content manager is where we'll add our workspaces. So if I hit create, we'll add our applications, any catalogs and groups, pages, roles, and workspaces if we'd like. So what I would like to do currently is potentially just remove these. So depending on the artifact, and the type of artifact it is, blue is raw, and purple is your workspace. This is green, and the light blue is your app. This is your app, and this is your page, and all of these artifacts have we created one by one, and we'll be recreating them. So I just want to edit this and just remove these from my role. Okay, it will make sense shortly. So yeah, so I'm just showcasing that the content manager is where you would see your various artifacts that have been added. Otherwise, instead of creating, you can import. Is for import. If you have a zip file to add, you have a content explorer as well. And the content explorer is if you have any deployed applications. So it's actually would show if you have any HTML5 applications that have been deployed that you'd want to add to your work zone. Otherwise, we'll click on Channel Manager, and the Channel Manager shows your HTML5 repository. So this is linked to your deployed applications. And what you usually come here to do is just to refresh, updating the content such that whatever has been added where you would then ask whatever has been added to your BTP cockpit under HTML5 applications. So when I click on here, I don't have any because I haven't deployed anything. When you come to HTML5 applications in BTP cockpit, manage your application provided by build work zone. So if you have any application that's been deployed, you would go and add it here, or any application that's been deployed, from your business application studio as well, you would come and add it from here. And once it's in here, then in your channel manager, it's then what is being updated from that repository. So it's just nice to see it's just nice to see exactly how they all work together. And the import monitor as well. The import monitor will just showcase if there has been any imports and if in their current status. The settings would showcase error logs, notifications, if there are any alias mappings, security headers, identity provisioning, more for security, custom domains, and mobile settings as well, just to allow you to. But yes, what we want to do first is to create a site. And site name would then be demonstration 2. It's a bit generic, but it's fine. But we are going to be adding a specific application, demonstration 2. And when I click go to site, we will then be able to get a view of our site when we haven't added anything to it. So as you can see here, and I click on it, there's nothing. So the next config is creating your work page, creating your workspace, adding your application as well. Right, before I do that, let's just answer this question. This is for 4 year, and since we are the first batch we currently do not have complete information. Could you please let us know when the exams will be conducted? Also, will the exams be taken from home or at an exam center? We only got access for 1 year. Please have a look if you can. Let's see. Oh yeah, 2 attempts, valid for 1 year. All right, so it's a valid learning hub. It started on the 21st of October, and you haven't used any attempts. You haven't taken any other certifications, right? In terms of if you started at 4 and then you used 2 and now you're on 2. It came like this and you've never taken your certification. Well, if that's the case, not till now. Okay, so you haven't, all right. But to answer your question, the exams are taken from anywhere, preferably a quiet place where you are by yourself. You don't need to go to an exam center. You just need to schedule a slot in here. Mine doesn't say schedule, but it will give you a schedule. You will select a time and day that you choose, and you will be able to take it from there. So you decide when to take the certification. All right, I hope that answers your question. Unfortunately, I can't answer how the 2 attempts got about. Like I said, I believe that is what was purchased for everyone at the university. All right. Okay. All right, you cleared a lot of my doubt. All good, all good. Yes, so we just saw that this site is empty. So what we want to do is come to the content manager. And within the content manager, we want to add an application to that workspace or to that site. And to do that, you can either add an application which reads straight from a URL, which is what we're going to do. Otherwise, WorkZone can connect to any of your backend systems. If you have a, on-premise cloud backend system where it will pick up the path to that application. Otherwise, in our case, we want to say no system and add a URL. So where do we get our application? So I do have application, so demo apps, demo kit apps. This site over here a useful site because it gives you a lot of UI5 applications with some sample real world applications. So in here, I will then share this link for you for your reference. Once again, just keep it somewhere, notepad or bookmark it. Because in here you can get API reference, some documentation. And in my case, I'm looking for this application, which we want to be able to run it in our space. So I just added the link to that application. It's a URL application, and I just need to give my application a title. This is an online computer store. Computer store app name. I don't need a description. So that's the configuration. The navigation, the semantic object, we want to order, or rather display, and the action is to order from the app. Okay, semantic object is just some mandatory fields that tells it the intent of the application. So we want to display it, and the action is we want to order. Visualization. This is what the tower would look like. So the name is still there in bold. It's a preview of it. The subtitle would then be computer parts. And you'll see how it then fits together. Information, online store. And we want to add an icon such as purchasing icon. Then our tile is a bit more realistic. And in terms of translations, we don't need to translate or add any additional information. I'm going to save. And from there, we've just added our application. The next step, back to Content Manager, is to then, we don't need a catalog to group anything or to group anything as well. We don't need a catalog apps. So we're also not going to be grouping our apps. What we do want to create though is a page, because our site never had a page that will hold our data. Page title, this would be live session applications. That's the page title. We'll see all of these, how they fit together when we are looking at our final version, and add a section and online store apps. You can have multiple sections as well. This section would be HR data, another section, sales data. And these will have their multiple applications and widgets. In our online store app, we want to add a widget, and it will pick up our app. This is the latest one that we created, and add to page. Okay, and we're not going to add any translations. This is just designing our page. Optional header as well. Computer. It can be anything relevant, specific to that topic. Okay, that is our work page, and now we want to our role. So by default, we have the everyone role. Everyone is that everyone who is visible or who's within this role will get visibility of the app. Otherwise, you would create a role for managers, create a role for end users, and that would determine the access that they have. Next, and the final thing we want to create is a space. So this space would be our live session space, workspace. And in here, the space will hold the specific pages that we want. So we have our live session application page space that we want to enable and save. And that is about it. The only last thing you want to confirm is in the content manager, go into the everyone role. And within the everyone role, just enable or click edit, such that within this role, you tell this role what should be available. So in our case, we want our online store app to be available. We want our spaces, our specific live session workspace to be available. And translation and information we are fine with. I'm going to save. And once we have saved, we then did that thing save? No, it didn't. So online store, just enable our necessary areas. I don't know why it's super slow. It doesn't look like it. There we go. Right, saved. And with it being saved, now we want to go to our set directory. Yeah, so it just needs me to refresh. I think either something has timed out or just a basic refresh. And we just want to check our site directory. So with all of those changes, we're going to go into our space or our site, go to site with within the site based on no, so that save did not take effect. So that glitch just disturbed us a bit. And also in my site menu, I also just want to so in my site settings, I usually just like to change this view mode to spaces and pages. And otherwise, there's nothing else I'd want to change in here. It's just a bunch of settings specific to what you are looking for, what you would like to change, session timeout, duration. But the main thing that you would want to do is just change it to the spaces and pages experience and go back to my site directory and just ensure that that save did take effect. And then after we're done with the standard edition, we'll quickly just go to the advanced edition. How you access it, I'll provide the links. It's publicly available. Navigate that environment, then we go to Joule Studio. All right, so I was just within this everyone row. I just want to confirm that everything did save. Yeah, spaces. Yep. All right, site directory. And I want to go to my site. All right. So now we are seeing the expected result where based on all of that text we were typing, this is my workspace. If I had multiple workspaces, if I clicked here, if I had another one, it would not show me all of this. It will have specific information. I guess, yeah, as I said, if you have something in here, this is computer parts, otherwise HR data applications, sales data applications down here. Those ones did not save because they were empty. That you do need to hold it with something. But yeah, this is your basic site menu in the standard edition. Advanced edition allows you to have a bit more control, which is what we want to see next. So let's go ahead and access the advanced edition of WorkZone. And where I want to access it from is from sap.com. sap.com, you get access to a free trial account. So if I click try now, what this will do is, and for you as well, you hit try now, it will give you a username and password unique to you. And this will then give you a build lobby environment with the necessary subscriptions. So in here, I want to paste those details that I just got. I did not save the other one. It's this one, Control C, paste, and just paste the correct one. And what's nice about this environment is that you have what is known as workbooks. So these workbooks allow you to get a guided experience on creating an agent, for example, a step-by-step guided experience, Fusion development, extending with SAP build, and then just starting up with the basic trial. So in our case, we want to get exposure to the build lobby. So in here, with this guided workbook, if I go to this one, or rather this third one, because one of them will then take me to, launch the build lobby. I was just looking for this link because in this specific lobby, this environment has been subscribed to with the necessary configurations that will allow us to create Joule skills as well and agents. So we'll do so shortly. But we are here for now for business advanced edition of WorkZone. So under business site over here, we will then go next. And you get 3 areas. Administration console would take you to this area, rather this area of WorkZone where you get the content manager. So on. That's in that administration console. we want to go to manage workspaces and work pages, because then this is what takes us to our actual environment where we can create a workspace and so on. So in here, what we want to look at is just get a perspective of the tabs already created. We have the home tab, where you will be able to share your content, session. Session 6. So other people within this workspace would then be able to see whatever you would have posted if they are within your environment. And you have your My Workspace. This is your unique workspace, which will give you access to allow you to add applications, edit the environment. So this icon over here, edit your work page. And this icon over here is to open your settings. So edit your work page would then allow you to, add content. Content would be some of the deployed applications if they are available. So create sales order application, or specific features like a calendar as well. All of these are then tiles that can get added. So as I mentioned, it's then customizing your workspace just by dragging and dropping the content to it. That's in your My Workspace. And you have this open work page settings, more or less the same thing. You can manage the content of it if there is specific content for you to add or for you to create. That's within your workspace. The next section would then be about adding applications. In this case, there aren't any applications, deployed applications to add, but your workspaces as well, depending on if you create a new workspace. So if I click new workspace, then you can create a public workspace, a private workspace, assign it a name, and from there it's about designing it such that it is specific to the scenarios that you want to add. So it's all about creating your workspace and getting access to that workspace. And a workspace would just show specific information, much like your My Workspace, but now it's either public for other people to add, to join, and you would then decide what should be in your workspace. Regarding the tools, it will then be as well specific to adding the knowledge-based tools or the search functionality tools as well to show calendars and recommendations and tasks. There's also My Inbox if it's correctly configured. So remember, Build is connected to My Inbox. So this would take you to all of your tasks as well. And when you click on your user in the actual paid version, or in the actual live version, you would get a bit more options to take you to the administration console, where you can then influence the content that you'd want to add and so on and so forth. So it just gives you a bit more detail. So yeah, this is the advanced edition of WorkZone, albeit it's a bit, because it's a shared environment, it's a bit limited in what you can do, because it's a public environment, we would make changes that could break or affect other people. But yes, I did share this link, right? No, I haven't. So let me just share how I got here. So it's just this link from sap.com. And this will then allow you to just say, start your free trial of SAP Build. It will give you your own unique code, and you will then be able to get access. All right. So yeah, that's WorkZone. I'm just going to close. Oh, I didn't click on my app in my site directory, right? I just opened it, but I didn't actually click on my app to see what it does. So in my Computer Parts app, we added that URL link to that application, because it's quite satisfying to see this application where it's just a mock application, a demonstration app, but it's available within the context of Build WorkZone, where it is a computer store essentially, where one would come and search for components that they want. So you can imagine having multiple applications. All right, so I'm just going to close whatever I'm not using at this stage. and just so it's easier to follow. This is the advanced edition. This is the lobby. I'll keep it, and I'll keep that as well. I'll keep that. This is my site directory, and yeah, this is my BTP cockpit. All right, so quick run view of our theory for our next session, and then we would be done. And we'll just answer a few questions related to the certification. Go to the Q&A and take it from there. So in here, I just want to get to the last section, which would be introducing Studio. So the one thing I would say about Studio and even WorkZone is there isn't really a lot of available live sessions on these topics. So if I go and check, let's say this has got your interest and you actually want to learn more about WorkZone and where can you get more information? Well, naturally you would go to Learning Journeys. I did share a learning journey for WorkZone where, it's a bit more information, but what about if you want more live sessions? And currently there is one or two. What did I search? There is one or two, but WorkZone. All right. And the one is the one that we're in already, the Get Certified, which just touches on it. But there's this one, Unlocking Build WorkZone, the Workspace Reimagined. There is a recording of it if you're interested. Seeing it, it's not as technical as I would like, but it's not bad. You can go into it, build your first site as well. But it's nothing groundbreaking. But I do think I would say you guys should recommend to SAP that you want more Build WorkZone live sessions if you are interested in them. And but at least for Studio, there is a number of live sessions available. So in this one that we're going to do now, we're just going to touch on it, introduce the why Studio is there. But as I mentioned, there are a number of, these are all the live sessions that are available, some of which are recordings, step-by-step guidance to build Joule agents in Joule Studio. There's a recording for you to watch, or depending on what you're looking for, building an intelligent agent. And all of this is also available from the workbook, because this workbook is a nice guided step-by-step. It's 1 hour, 30 minutes long if you were to complete it by yourself. But what I mean by guided is that the steps that you would take to build your own skill, even it highlights where you need to go, what you need to click. And the nice thing about Joule Studio is that it's very similar to process automation in terms of the interface. We'll see that shortly. Let's just quickly through the theory, where the first couple of units is just marketing strategy, or I say marketing strategy, but it's just introducing Joule Studio, why it's needed. And the long and the short of it is that we want to be able to automate some of our tasks, right? We want to be able to have agents and skills that will allow us to cater for some of the repetitive day-to-day tasks, and Joule Studio is the environment for it. And the environment is very similar to the process automation environment. The key features: agent builder, skill builder. It's once again a low-code, intuitive drag-and-drop tool. It is very much secure, and you can build, in terms of what can you build, you can build agents and skills where based on various use cases. Once again, the marketing is just impact your business, get some additional value from this tool, and how it connects to the various components within our SAP architecture. Why it matters. So this is a nice example of why it matters. Before, Maria, a customer service lead, has to juggle S4HANA logistic portal or weather app to explain a delayed shipment. She copies IDs between screens, waits for each screen system to respond, and still can't give an ETA with confidence. After using Joule Skill and Joule Agent, Maria simply asks you, why is order 411 late and what can we do? Joule then triggers a skill, which has been created to have the API have the action API that goes into S4HANA itself to fetch real-time statuses, an agent to calculate the best route, because agents are more for complex tasks, and reroute when necessary. And Maria would just click one button and the agent books the new carrier. The customer receives an automatic update as well. So it is once again about automating. But in the real world, this is a nice to have, but sometimes we do want to have a human interaction. We do want to have a human factor. But if, as long as the automation is accurate and works, then the agent is then very much useful in terms of automating things. And this is where we start to get an idea of skills, where a skill is meant to perform simpler tasks in terms of repeatable tasks, retrieve risk, get weather conditions. And how it works when you're building it is that you are building a process that, depending on the nature of what the skill should do, because it's not like it's autonomous or adaptive where it will just know when to rebuild itself. No, it's based on a specific condition. A skill would be, this is the skill to check maintenance orders or get stock on this specific thing, because then it will always just accurately do that one task. And that's why the skills matters. And how it's designed, as I mentioned, the environment is very similar to our process automation. We'll see it shortly when I open it, where you want to add your API actions in various steps of your process, where, first your skill is code, where it's much like a chat box. So it's literally like a chat box. It then goes into the process, which would have its own branches, fetch an API to get information, and then send some dialogue confirmation to you. And a nice example of a skill where a maintenance planning is typing order 20 replacement pumps. Who recognizes the intent, which is to create a purchase requisition, and calls that necessary skill. The skill then extracts the item quantity cost center and then invokes the purchase requisition API. And then it just correctly replies, well, there we go. I've created that purchase requisition and routed for the maintenance order for approval. One plain language then becomes a fully governed transaction. No manual entry required. So that's at least the idea behind it. The execution has been quite good in terms of when it's been used. To be able to convert a single task, a single repetitive tips into an autonomous type of steps. Then Joule agents. So Joule agents then allow us to handle a bit more complex scenarios. Adapting as well until the goal is met. So it does use a large language model. So it's almost like a chat type of bot, where it's made up of various key components, where you would assign it the purpose, the instructions for this agent, the reasoning engine behind it. This is what makes it adaptive, because it is using that large language type of model, type of communication. And the tools such as your skill, your calculator, is then available, the memory, the integration layer. So all of these multiple parts work together to connect to your environment and store the instructions based on the user input and user output. Okay, this table nicely then just puts the comparison in mind. Agents, a bit more for handle your complex tasks, your skills to execute some of your repetitive tasks as well. Okay, so agents more for your complex type of scenarios, your skills more for your straightforward tasks. Then the remainder of the slides just goes in a bit more detail on when to use which and the various parts that our agents interacts with in terms of our SAP and non-SAP system, and it can connect via APIs to our various systems to perform our various tasks as well. some role case scenarios. So yeah, no, some of this is self-reading information. It's just introducing and marketing Jewel Studio. We are more interested in technical side of things, but yeah, where we then get introduced to the MCP, Model Context Protocol, uh, which will then allow the agent to get some more context and data related to the system that it will be then connecting to, whether it's to understand documents, to perform calculations as well. Okay. Um, And before we get to actually create one, yeah, this is a nice example of a pre-configured one, a restocking agent with some clear instructions given to this agent for restocking low items to get supplier needs, gather data, request a purchase order in terms of the instructions that is required. So the more descriptive you are with the agent, the better it performs. The AI model settings will then be governed whether you want to use your open AI model or your specific AI tool is then configured within the agent itself. And this then shows a nice indication of the user interface once you've deployed your artifact, and it's showcasing based on the conversations that you can have, it will respond to you and perform the tasks. It's going a bit fast, but it's a 25-second video where it's just showing based on the communication here, it then allows it to perform the necessary steps to retrieve either stock level or and so on. So on the paused version, you can see search and add documents containing contracts of my suppliers, where it replies, I found this document that contains a list. Should I add this document to the agent? Add document group, then it responds, then it carries on. So it's literally building your own or having your own smart assistant, and that you would have built your own that end users can also start to use. All right. Yeah, so so it's just showcasing the various steps to create your agent, some limitations as well, example prompts to use. So these are things that you by now you do have an idea of. I think it's just repeating it as well. Launching your first Jewel Studio, how to get access to it based on your service plan. As I mentioned, you are going to be using your BTP trial account, which does have access to it, and it gives access to this very nice workbook. So this first workbook allows us to create a Jewel agent in Jewel Studio, where there's currently a known issue affecting the Jewel skill, or where incorrect actions may be added. A hotfix is in progress and will be deployed shortly. How to build. All right. So yeah. So it's just showcasing the steps. So in the area of building a skill, it would go into the environment, take you step by step. If you do want to recreate this yourself, you would be able to follow along this Jewel skill. It will take you where to click to be able to create this availability stock, the necessary parameters that you would want to add. It's a nice guided exercise that is available. In our case, we want to just go into the environment, navigate it, create a skill, create an agent, or add components at least. The creation can be done by following the site. I don't deep dive into it because it's not the focus of our certification, and there are specific live sessions that do cover this. All right. All right. No, thank you. Unfortunately, some people do need to drop off. I'm almost done, guys. Like I said, this will be a shorter session, but yes, all the best to you guys as you take on this certification. Yeah, let's go ahead into the build lobby and create Jewel agent and skill. Call it Jewel skill live session. I'll just And as I mentioned, it's similar to your process automation environment in terms of the navigation, even the interface. So you're quite comfortable with Okay, where when you have your name, these are your artifacts, your triggers, your test and release. What we want to do is create a skill, for example, do skill, and just give it a name, and we'll see the various artifacts that we can add as well in terms of being able to call APIs, the triggers, the variables as well that are available. All right, once again, the first thing is your trigger, where if you have specific input parameters, variables that you'd want to add, you can configure them based on the type of input field it's going to be. And from there, you want to either call a process, you want to add an action. So there's a lot fewer components, but um, it all depends on exactly how you're going to build it, where you can add a process. So a process would be one process automation. And it's already a full-blown process with its navigation. So this is a sample process that we can add. And depending on what the next step would be, you would then add either condition, you would then send a response, maybe to confirm that something has been done, call your API, launch your Juice skill, but after you have actually created one and deployed. So yeah, overall, it's just about creating your skill, and once you release and trigger, it will then be like a large language model, be able to respond to your needs, much like your agent. Um, Much like your agent, you do want to be able to configure it according. As I said, I don't go into as much detail because there is a nice guided step by step in the workbook as well, which does allow you to get an idea, an end-to-end idea of what specific agent you'd want to be, or what you wanted to do, the task that you wanted to perform, and the model AIs that you can select from as well becomes available. So there is a lot that happens behind the scenes to make the output what we end up seeing in our final version. All right. Yeah. There isn't much that I'd want to spend too much on Dual Agent. This actually leads us to the end of our session, where at this stage you are then ready to take on the certification. As I mentioned, this final session is um, not related to the certification. Build works on Juice Studio. It's mainly process automation. So at this stage, if you've made it this far, guys, we can officially go into our Q&A. And yeah, I think you guys have been a great class, a very informative class, asking good questions, engaging class as well. And it's been a pleasure to have you all here. If you do need to drop off, I do understand. But yeah, we're officially in the Q&A. It's been a pleasure to take you through this. Thank you, guys. Yeah, that is it for me. Enjoy the rest of your week. You do have my email if you ever need anything. If you just want to say, well, I did it, I passed, or maybe I did not pass and I'm wondering where I went wrong. I know I am communicating with some of you directly on Teams or on email as well is fine. All right, no problem. Yeah, it's one thing to get, through the certification. It's another thing when you are in a project and you have to do, because the certification, yes, it introduces, the basics, but once you're in a real world implementation, it always feels like a new thing, but that's the best exposure that you can get as well. Okay, guys. Otherwise, yes, as you drop off, there will be a short survey that SAP asks us to perform. Please do leave a honest and positive review where you can of the series, of the content, the presenter as well. But yeah, all good, guys. Enjoy the rest of your week. I hope I've answered all of your questions. If not, I'll just stay on for a few more minutes. Take care. Let me allow you to unmute. Uh, but yeah, well done to you guys that have taken the exam or that are going to write very soon. And good luck. You got this. Okay, guys. If there's no further questions, take care. See you in the next live session. Bye. Oh, good. Okay, let me end the session. Take care.